Great day here for cricket today, hot and dry. And you had a look at the pitch a little earlier, Jim. How was it?
Well, Richie, if the batsmen play sensibly, there are some big scores to be had out here. For the seam bowlers, there won't be any great movement in this pitch, but there might be just enough if they can keep the ball in the right place. There could be some spin from the start, and as the match progresses, the ball will begin to turn a lot more. A tough call, perhaps a good toss to lose. Back to you, Richie.
So we're all ready for the first ball of the innings. Hit straight at Fleming. No wicket for one. That's straight up in the air. Well, that nearly joined us up here in the commentary box.
Another one of those, and this bowler could be out of the attack.
Batsman are coming back for two. He's struggling to get back here. I think he was easily back in the crease there. .49 overs are left in the innings. 342 runs required. Stopped by Hussain. 342 runs required. It's a nasty bouncer from Gough.
Well, he might be a little nervous coming forward to the next delivery.
Those are the first runs for Fleming. 49 overs are left for New Zealand. Caddick to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. There should be some runs here. Great job done by the fielder in the deep. It's in the air, but it's 4 runs. That's the first boundary for Astor. The score is now no wicket for 6. Astle facing. It's straight at Thorpe. Caddick to bowl to Astle. Oh. Gough to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Cut away. Picked up on the boundary by Flintoff. There's a mix-up with the batsman. A direct hit would have got him. 334 runs required. Well taken by Stewart. Well taken by Stewart. A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. Caddick to bowl to Astle. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. He just managed to avoid that one.
That was a lazy shot. He'll regret that when he sees the replay.
That's a huge six. That was sheer power.
It doesn't really matter if it goes in the air if you hit it that far.
New Zealand move on to 15. Caddick to Astle. That's run away for 4. That takes him into double figures. So they need 323 to win from 279 balls. That's 4 more. That clattered into the boards.
Lovely front foot shot. Head over the ball, wrists in front of the bat as he played through the line.
New Zealand have taken their total on to no wicket for 23. That's a superb shot. Astle has now moved into the 20s. 19 runs came from that over by Caddick. Gough to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 6.5 and over. That is an excellent catch.
Well done, the fieldsman. He really backed up the bowler's effort.
Fleming makes his way back to the dressing room. Sinclair is the new batsman. Gough takes the first wicket of the innings. Stopped by Flintoff. A long hop and punish. That's the first boundary for Sinclair. That's the end of the 5th over. Caddick to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. There it goes. He's timing the ball perfectly today.
Cracking shot. He's in great form.
1 now for 37. That's a superb shot. That went like a rocket to the fence.
That was a nicely timed shot. You don't need to smash the ball to the boundary every time.
Well held.
That was a bad shot. He really seemed to lose concentration.
So then, that's the end of Astle.
He survived the difficult part and got his eye in only to lose concentration.
Vincent is the new batsman for New Zealand. Caddick gets his first wicket. New Zealand 2 down now for 41. New Zealand have taken their total on to 2 for 41. Caddick to Vincent. Well taken by Stewart. .44 overs are left in the innings. Gough to bowl to Sinclair. The run rate stands at just under 6.5 and over. The batsmen are coming back for 2. New Zealand are 2 for 43. .299 runs required. Gough to bowl to Sinclair. Two for 44. New Zealand are 2 for 45. It's high in the air. That's the first boundary for Vincent. 43 overs are left for New Zealand. The required run rate is around 6.5 and over. That's a great shot. That takes him into double figures. That brings up the 50 for New Zealand. Sinclair facing. It's straight at Triscothic. Vincent facing. Brilliantly caught.
That was a loose shot. He'll be kicking himself about that one.
Vincent goes for only 4.
That's a long walk back when you haven't scored many runs.
The next batsman in is the right-handed McMillan. Caddick gets his second wicket. New Zealand are 3 down now for 54. Well, let's take a look at the scorecard. The new batsman won't have to face just yet. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. That's too short. 4 runs. He was onto that in a flash.
He dispatched that short ball with a certain amount of disdain.
Hit straight to a fielder. 41 overs are left for New Zealand. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. White is not going to reach that. That's the first boundary for McMillan. 3 now for 62. Caddick is back in the attack. That was an athletic stop by the keeper. That's the end of the 10th over. Gough to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 6.5 and over. Gough continues. A long hop and punish. Sinclair has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. They have 40 overs to get. 275.
Yes.
Well taken by Stewart. 3 for 67. It's straight at Flintoff. I think he was easily back in the crease there. We're about to see the first bowling change. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Got it into the gap. New Zealand move on to 69. Hit straight at Flintoff. I think he was easily back in the crease there. 38 overs are left in the innings. Gough to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 7 and over. McMillan waiting at the striker's end. He's worked that into the gap. Gough at the start of his run-up. Gough at the start of his run-up. Oh, shot. That clattered into the boards.
He really laid into that delivery. 4 runs all the way.
England are in the driving seat. Sinclair is now facing. Gough at the start of his run-up. .37 overs are left for New Zealand. The required run rate has crept up to around 7 and over.
Yes. No. Yes.
Great wicket-keeper. New Zealand have taken their total on to 3 for 77. White ball to McMillan. In the gap.
Didn't get over it at all.
Sinclair is finally out of ODI.
That's a shame. I was enjoying watching that batman. That will be even more disappointing.
Cairns is the new batsman for New Zealand. White gets his first wicket. New Zealand are 4 down now for 78. .36 overs are left in the innings. New batsman won't face it for the time being. Required run rate looking more out of reach here. Gough to bowl to McMillan. Stopped by Prescothick. There's a mix-up with the batsman. It looked as if he was home to me. Gough to McMillan. Gough to McMillan. Hit straight at Giles.
Waiting!
That's gone high in the air. That takes him into double figures. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. That's a lovely way to get off the mark. McMillan is now facing.
Yes! Oh!
White to McMillan.
Yes! Bravo! Yes! Oh!
That's a really good piece of bowling. The batsman was beaten all ends up.
A very good over. Only 2 off it in the end. Gough to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 7.5 and over. A cracking stroke. He picked the length quickly with that one.
Great shot. That seemed to rocket to the boundary.
Yeah! Go! Waiting!
Pushed into the gap. McMillan is now facing. .33 overs are left in the innings. White to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 7.5 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway.
Go! Waiting!
Hit straight at Triscothick. White at the start of his run-up.
Yes!
The fielder will cut that off. White continues. That's good bowling.
Excellent delivery. He totally beat the batsman there.
Gough to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 7.5 and over. Comfortably taken, no worries. Cairns goes for only 3.
That's a long walk back when you haven't scored many runs.
Nevin comes in at number 7. Gough gets his second wicket. Gough to bowl to Nevin. Super wicket keeping. Hit straight at Thorpe.
Yes.
That's a lovely way to get off the mark. So they need 250 to win from an 87 balls. Short and smash for 4. McMillan has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. 31 overs are left for New Zealand. White to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. White is back in the attack. Superb shot. He timed that to perfection.
Fantastic shot there. He knew it was 4 as soon as he struck it.
That moves the score into 3 figures for New Zealand. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. That's gone high in the air. Looks in good form out there.
Oh, great shot. That was a pleasure to see.
That's the end of the 20th over. England are making a change in the bowling. The required run rate is around 7.5 and over. He's worked that into the gap. Steered expertly into the gap. White to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 8 and over. A long hop and punish. McMillan very quickly onto that one.
Well, he won't have pleased his skipper with that delivery. He needs to keep it tight.
They have 29 overs to get 230. I think he was easily back in the crease there. It's beaten the fielder, but it won't go all the way. White at the start of his run-up. The batsmen are coming back for a second. is racing away for 4. That's the first boundary for Nevin. 11 runs were picked up from that over by White. Giles to begin a new over. The required run rate is around 7.5 and over. Tucked off his legs. Giles to bowl to McMillan. It looked as if he was home to me. Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Nevin waiting at the striker's end. Hit straight to a fielder. Giles to Nevin. White to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 8 and over. White to bowl to Nevin. Nevin facing. Short and smash for 4. Nevin moves into double figures with those runs. Gough is not going to reach that. Really looks in fine nick today.
He dispatched that for 4 with great confidence.
5. Now for 131. He looked as if he was home to me. That's 10 off the over now. This over is proving to be quite expensive. He's got onto that one. He really can't afford to pitch short on this track.
Cracking shot. The secret there was that he got his feet into position early and had plenty of time to play the shot.
26 overs are left in the innings. The required run rate is around 7.5 and over. It's straight at Hussain. It's beaten the fielder, but it won't go all the way. I think he was easily back in the crease there. Hit straight at Flintoff. That's the halfway mark, 25 overs. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. I think he was easily back in the crease there. They have 25 overs to get to 203. That's beaten the fielder, but it won't go all the way. Nevin has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. White to McMillan. This 6th wicket partnership has moved on to 50. New Zealand have taken their total on to 5 for 142. That's gone high in the air. I certainly saw that one early.
He played that with a lovely straight bat. He'll be pleased.
Giles continues. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Five for 146. The batsman will have to run these. That's cut off by Knight.
Really good running there by the batsman. That can in turn force mistakes by the fielding team as they come under pressure.
Our shot. That was a shot straight out of the coaching manual.
Well, he smashed that for 4 with a big smile on his face.
The score is now 5 for 153. Hit straight to a fielder. Well, that'll beat the fielder. He picked the length quickly with that one.
The bowler didn't do too much wrong there. It was just an excellent shot. 23
overs are left in the innings. There's a change in the bowling with the off-spin of Vaughan. The run rate stands at just under 8 and over. They have 23 overs to get 184. Five for 158. .182 runs required.
White.
hit straight to a fielder.
Yes. No. Waiting.
The batsman will have to run these. Hasn't been easy by any means, but he can enjoy this moment. His 50 has come up off 62 balls. 22 overs are left for New Zealand. Giles to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 8 and over. The score is now 562. Steered expertly into the gap. They have 22 overs to get 179. Giles continues. Steered expertly into the gap. Eight runs wide. He's waiting in the gap. Nevin, face it. By Flintoff. Giles, ball to Nevin. One 167 runs required. Vaughan to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 8 and over. Not timed perfectly, but they'll get some runs anyway. So they need 176 to win from 124 balls. New Zealand have taken their total on to 5 for 167. Nevin waiting at the striker's end. Well taken.
Straight down the fielder's throat. The batsman will be kicking himself.
Nevin is finally out for 33.
He played really well out there, but lost his concentration at a vital moment.
Adams comes in at number 8. Vaughan gets his first wicket. Those are the first runs for Adams. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. That's the end of the 30th over. Giles to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Steered expertly into the gap.
Waiting!
McMillan waiting at the striker's end. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. Giles to bowl to Adams. "19 overs are left for New Zealand. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Vaughan to bowl to Adams. Adams is now on strike.
Waiting!
Pushed into the gap. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. Well, that's found the gap in the field. There's a mix-up with the batsman. The total is now 6 for 175.
Run! Wait. Run!
Played into the gap.
Waiting!
Picked up on the boundary by Knight. 18 overs are left for New Zealand. Adams facing. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Giles is back in the attack.
Waiting!
He didn't quite get hold of that one properly. Giles to bowl to Adams.
Waiting!
Played into the gap. Vaughan out at long on. The batsman will have to run these. The batsmen are coming back for a second. Great job done by the fielder in the deep. New Zealand are 6 for 184. Giles to McMillan. steered expertly into the gap. "17 overs are left for New Zealand. Vaughan to continue with his off-spin. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. He's got it into the gap. The batsmen are looking for 2. There's a mix-up with the batsman. The batsmen are coming back for 2. There's a mix-up with the batsman. McMillan facing. That's gone high in the air. Vaughan to bowl to Adams. We're about to see a change in the bowling. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. There it goes. That was sheer power.
It doesn't really matter if it goes in the air if you hit it that far.
That's too short. 4 runs. Flintoff is not impressed.
Well, that was just a long hop and it got the full treatment.
McMillan is now facing. He's got it into the gap.
Waiting! Yeah.
That's a good shot. You really can't afford to pitch short on this track.
That was a wonderful shot. He looks in great shape out there.
6 for 209. That's the end of the 35th over. Vaughan to begin a new over. The run rate stands at just under 8.5 an over. The batsmen are after 2. The sweeper picks up. So they need 130 to win from 88 balls. McMillan is now on strike. Stopped by Knight. 6 for 213. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. McMillan facing. Partnership for the 7th wicket is now 50. New Zealand 6 for 117. That's too short, and it's been dispatched before. Adams moves into double figures with those runs.
Yeah.
13 overs are left in the innings. Vaughan to continue with his off-spin. The required run rate has crept up to around 9 and over.
Run. Waiting. No.
McMillan facing.
Yes.
Steered expertly into the gap.
Waiting.
Batsmen are after 2. Vaughan to bowl to McMillan.
Yeah.
Adams is now on strike. Vaughan continues.
Yes.
Great shot, that's 4 all the way. Adams has now moved into the 20s. 6 now for 231. Vaughan is back in the attack. The batsman will have to run these.
Yes.
Batsmen are turning for a third. Flintoff doing the fielding. 12 overs are left in the innings. Flintoff to begin a new over. Now the run rate stands at just over 8.5 and over. A long hop and punished. The crowd were brought to their feet by that shot.
Well, he really latched onto that ball quickly and struck a venomous square drive to the cover boundary.
New Zealand move on to 239. Flintoff at the start of his run-up.
Waiting.
Pushed into the gap.
Yeah. No.
Flintoff to McMillan. That's found the gap in the field.
Yeah.
White cuts that off. The batsmen are in trouble here. 100 runs required. Flintoff to bowl to McMillan.
Yes.
That over eased the pressure on the batting team. McMillan is now on strike. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here.
Waiting.
I think he was easily back in the crease there. They have 11 overs to get, 98. Played into the gap. Vaughan to McMillan. That's found the gap in the field. McMillan will have one eye on his 100 now. The fielder will cut that off.
Yeah.
Batsmen are looking for 3. Flintoff reaches it before it crosses the boundary.
Good running between the wickets can add those extra few runs to the total that can really make a difference when it comes down to the wire.
Yes.
The fielder will cut that off.
Waiting.
That's the end of the 40th over. Flintoff to begin a new over. The required run rate has crept up to around 9 and over. Adams is now facing. There it goes. Super shot by Adams.
Well, that was short and just asked to be hit.
Well taken by Stewart.
Waiting.
A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. There's a mix-up with the batsman. 9 overs are left for New Zealand. Adams is now facing. The required run rate has crept up to around 9 and over.
Wait.
Vaughan to bowl to McMillan. I think he was easily back in the crease there.
Yeah.
McMillan facing.
Waiting.
Well played, but the fielder will cut that one off. Oh, that's a beautiful shot. You can't afford to bowl at him there.
Lovely shot. It raced away by the fence for 4.
79 runs required. Stopped by Knight. The required run rate is looking more out of reach here. Well played, but he'll cut that one off. Batsman looking for 2. Picked up by White. Well, the fielder's not going to cut that off. You can't afford to bowl at him there.
It was a good shot, but the bowler shouldn't be bowling at him.
McMillan is now facing. Stopped by White. Brilliantly caught.
Great catch. To use the old saying, catches win matches.
McMillan eventually goes for 99. That was a superb innings by McMillan.
Well, they're through to the tail now and should tie up the innings quickly.
Harris is the next batsman in. Flintoff gets his first wicket. New Zealand are 7 down now for 269. We're about to see a change in the bowling. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. That one's gone to the fence. The crowd were brought to their feet by that shot.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
They have 7 overs to get 69. A nice shot, but it won't make it to the boundary. The batsmen are after 2. That's cut off by Giles. He looked as if he was home to me.
Well, Richie, consistent running of that quality will really put pressure on the fielders out there.
The score is now 7 for 276. White is back in the attack. Knight is not going to reach that. That's the first boundary for Harris. 6 overs are left in the innings. The run rate stands at just under 10 and over. He's got that one over the infield and away for 4. He can enjoy this as he's had to work very hard for it. There's his half century. Play it away with comfort. Harris facing. He just managed to avoid that one.
That was good bowling. Just the odd bouncer to keep the batsman on his toes.
That's gone high in the air. That was a very confident shot.
That was a good shot. He saw it early and got into position quickly.
That's the end of the 45th over. White to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Seven. Now for 290. White to bowl to Harris. Stopped by Vaughan. He's worked that into the gap. Collected by Thorpe. Harris facing. He's worked that into the gap. Harris moves into double figures with those runs. The batsmen are coming back for a second. There's a mix-up with the batsman. Flintoff to begin a new over. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Harris is now facing. That's straight up in the air. Picked up very early by Harris.
That was a beautiful front foot shot. The timing was spot on.
The total is now 7 for 297. It's in the air. Certainly saw that one early.
He'll have enjoyed that one. It was for the moment it left his bat.
New Zealand have taken their total on to 7 for 301. Flintoff continues.
He's consistently bowling wide and really needs to sort out his line.
New Zealand move on to 303. Adams waiting at the striker's end. There's a mix-up with the batsman. He looked as if he was home to me. Flintoff continues. Super wicket keeping. That over eased the pressure on the batting team. We're going to see the off-spin of Vaughan. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Played into the gap. Harris is now facing. Play it away with comfort. Harris has moved into the 20s and is starting to look far more relaxed. The batsmen are coming back for two. Fielded on the boundary by Caddick. 7. Now for 309. continues. Done him. That was a beautiful delivery.
Well bowled there. He kept it straight and waited for the batsman to make a mistake.
Adams is finally out for 57. That was a useful innings by Adams.
He did well out there and didn't let the bowlers get the upper hand at any stage.
Brilliant catch. Vettori goes for a duck. Vettori makes his way back to the dressing room.
A first ball duck. His teammates will be merciless when he gets back to the dressing room.
Martin is the new batsman for New Zealand. Vaughan gets his third wicket. New Zealand 9 down now for 311. That over helped the run rate somewhat. The new batsmen weren't faced for the time being. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Harris facing. Our shot. This batsman won't miss anything that's short.
The bowler needs to avoid giving away boundaries, so he must keep it tight.
Flintoff continues. Flintoff to Harris. There it goes. Really looks in fine nick today. The new batsman comes in at the non-striker's end. The required run rate is looking more and more out of reach here. Got onto that one. That clattered into the boards.
What can I say about that shot? He looks in top form today.
New Zealand move on to 326. Vaughan at the start of his run-up. Pushed into the gap. Those are the first runs for Martin. There it goes. Well, he's seeing it like a beach ball out there now.
That was a beautiful front foot shot. The timing was spot on.
Vaughan is beginning to lose his line and length. It's in the air. sum up then, England win by 8 runs. Let's take a look at how the innings have gone so far. Vaughan has completed his allotted overs with figures of 10 overs, 3 for 70.